they call me the Dread Wolf? What will they call you when this is over?
Throw me in a fire and call me Andraste. We got another behind the scenes trailer on Dragon Age 4. And honestly, this was everything we wanted from a Dragon Age 4 teaser at this current point in development. Concept art, in-engine shots, gameplay snippets, and so much to dissect.
Thank you, BioWare, so much. You didn't have to show us anything in early production, but you guys did. We have spent ages gathering our thoughts and findings through this behind the scenes trailer. As a preface, we are dealing with conceptual work here, so everything in this video is our speculation. Nothing is confirmed unless we state otherwise.
So with extreme excitement and a lot to delve into, guys, me and Saria present to you our first breakdown on Dragon Age 4's Gamescom trailer. We have way more videos planned, from individual analysis vids to my next news video. So make sure you subscribe to the two of us for all your Dragon Age 4 needs. With that said, let's go!
In the first conceptual shot, this serene location bears many similarities to Antiva, a coastal nation close to the Rialto Bay, east of Tevinter, north of Starkhaven. The most prominent place to visit in Antiva would be Antiva City. We saw Antiva in Dragon Age Silent Grove, and there are many similarities that relate to this shot, like the mountainous structures, winding rivers, and vivid colors. Currently, the people of Antiva await an imminent Qunari invasion as the Antivan crows prepare to face the Horned Beasts in an all-out war for their nation. As we can tell in this shot, that war hasn't happened just yet. However, the leaders of the Antivan crows, known as Talons, have moved to Antiva City in preparation to inform the royals of Antiva about the Qunari war and to recruit more Talons for their ranks. The general atmosphere of this shot is very calming and picturesque. It would make for a lovely location for nice romantic walks when there isn't a mass fear of invasion in the air. Out of all the possibilities of this shot's location, while Tevinter has many docks and coastal cities, we feel Antiva is our best bet when compared to similar shots in the teaser trailer.
In the next shot, we see what looks like a very pristine dwarven tag. There's a huge glowing door with stone carvings and a single dwarf stood among it all, showcasing the size of this tag. Could this be an inner sanctum of an ancient lost tag, like the Horror of Hormak short story revealed? Or does this shot resemble one of the many dwarven kingdoms, like perhaps Kal Sharok, which is the old capital of the Dwarven Empire, close to Tevinter and the Anderfels? We discovered that there are 11 more ancient dwarven tags built into mountains. Inside one of those tags revealed truly horrific monsters, an elven structure and different colors of lyrium with symbols of the elven goddess Gillinan. With almost a dozen more tags, what other horrors linger within them? Do we really want to find out what's truly behind that door? The hallway is very clean with small rocks and rubble on the side. Perhaps this dwarf is stumbling upon this door for the first time, with no previous signs of life appearing in this area. With the door's size, we can imagine it may have something to do with the Titans, perhaps even lead to one if it's not leading to a corrupt dwarven tag or Kal Sharok.
In the next shot, we can clearly see that this looks exactly like Antiva, posed at a different angle. Everything here just screams more of Antiva. Ships, mountains, and a compact dock. The castle we saw in the background of the first shot is now in the center. Perhaps we are seeing the outskirts of Antiva City, with their palace in the distance. It all looks rather beautiful, and imagine walking down the streets of this city, looking at the glistening water and enjoying a sip of wine.
In the next shot, we have an amazing action underwater scene with two recognizable characters it seems. Isabella is clearly shown on the right in her Inquisition pirate captain outfit, and Dorian Pavas on the left, who is seemingly wearing Antivan Crow armor. Two amazing returning characters, both in the midst of danger and chaos. While the character in the middle has many of us concluding that she's the same roguish woman from the cover of Tevinter Nights, closely resembled by her armor, hairstyle, and hair color. We also have what looks like a skeleton companion in the back, swimming away. However, we'll explain more about them later on. To the upper left and middle of the shot, it looks like the characters have fallen off of a ship into the water after being attacked, unless they're actually willingly exploring an underwater location while on pursuit. With Isabella at the center of this shot, we can assume plenty of mayhem ensued. We know Isabella went on to sail her own ship and became a pirate captain. Perhaps her ship was destroyed just before this shot, and explains why the crew are escaping underwater, also explaining the wreckage on the water's bed. Or is that merely just treasure that they've each plunged in to get? I wonder who is attacking the crew from the sea's surface. It could literally be anyone, especially with Isabella involved. Regarding Isabella's ship, both of us would love to see a more mobile hub in the next game. Perhaps a ship, or at least having one from the start of the game until then mayhem ensues. The majority of Northern Faders can easily be explored via a ship, and we know BioWare can make amazing ship hubs like Mass Effect's Normandy.
In the next shot, we can clearly see many new faces and a very mysterious one looming behind the corner. This location is most likely Tevinter due to the architecture of Tevinter's buildings and walls. Perhaps a Tevinter chamber, stronghold, or ruin? The two male and female figures look to be discussing a plan or eavesdropping on a high elite from Tevinter. It looks like the handsome, dark-haired human man has raised up his fist to stop the team before they make their approach. He looks very dapper, wearing silver armor with a green coat. If we look at his chest plate, we can see small insignias of an ominous symbol. It could be the Son of the Chantry's logo, or it could be a gray Warden griffin, or even a new symbol within the Thetis' many new factions. The human woman he's locked eyes with looks very pretty. She has long braided brown hair with a crossbow at the ready. The macabre figure in the corner of the shot has a build that looks like Archon Radonis from Mage Killer, while sharing similarities of an ancient magister. Maybe Corypheus just inspired a new sense of fashion in the Imperium? Or is he really another magister of old? We'll talk more about him in another shot. The female figure next to the two companions in the purplish robes looks to be a Tevinter mage with the resemblance to Calpurnia. She is also taking the fire from the torches at the entrance to darken the sanctum. Stealth mission time? Of course, the last figure on the left looks to be a huge hornless Canary who is putting on their helmet identical to the scene from Trespasser's Canary ending. Could these characters potentially be listening to an undercover plot in Tevinter? Maybe the hostile figures are the Venatory remnants mentioned in Tevinter Nights? Another cult? Could they be the Tevinter Sicarii, the Imperium's own intelligence network? Or could they straight up be something like the Black Divine or an Altus Dreamer Mage?
As clear as day, this next shot has got to be the Grey Warden's headquarters, Fortress Weishaupt in the Anderfels. The Anderfels are bleak and blighted lands, west of Tevinter and north of Orlais. The lands consist of large deserts, hot summers, and many uninhabited territories. Fortress Weishaupt was built on the edge of a jagged butt called Broken Tooth, made of stone on a mountain surface. This description of Weishaupt certainly correlates to the concept shot, not to mention the griffin statue towering over the fort, resembling the Warden's territory. The World of Fadis depiction of Weishaupt is also fairly similar to the concept shot. This tower stands on a mountain with a bridge connecting to the main fortress. Currently, the Grey Wardens of Weishaupt have severed their communication with the Wardens in the south for reasons unknown. Griffin eggs were recently found in the Anderfels by a new Warden recruit. Perhaps the Warden's fear for the supposed extinct protect birds' lives and will protect that secret with their lives. The next shot is certainly another shot of Fortress Weishaupt in the Anderfels. We can see a griffin statue that all but confirms the Warden's presence here.
The next shot shows a completely new concept of defense in Dragon Age. We can see heavily armored people wielding unrecognizable armor, using a new type of magic. One of the armored defenders is conjuring a massive defense bubble of golden triangles to protect against some form of tendrils or absurd magic, while the other defender has a conjured bow of golden triangles shooting what looks to be shock arrows at their opposer. Perhaps a new faction, hopefully not against our new protagonist. They have very vivid golden colors while covered head to toe in armor. Their helmet has somewhat of an owl look to it, but honestly, this could mean anything. I wonder if the aim of this concept is to show a new type of magic. Being conjuration, it would certainly make for epic combat sequences. In the next shot, we can see mountains, waterfalls, floating rocks, and elven flying boats known as Aravels. Was this place once elven, henceforth has plenty of magics tied to it? Is it a memory of the fate of what once was regarding the Elven Kingdom pre-Vel? We can see in the very top left corner of what looks like to be the same color of an Alluvian mirror. Perhaps this is a location for Solus and his rebellion, the elven location that Solus once told Abelas, hidden deep within Thedas. Or is this locale in the crossroads, like the Vir de Thora, which houses many floating objects that once intrinsically tied to the Fade? To the left, we see the Aravels, the elven ships that float upon the lands. The elves are preparing to set sail by untying the ropes and assorting goods onto the ships. And on the right, we can see the mountainous region with the old floating elven structures that are long lost. Perhaps these elven are part of the Dalish or the cult of Fen'Harel, preparing for battle on the other side of this mountain, surrounded by clouds. This place could be the sanctuary where the elves have since gathered and traveled together since Trespassers events, joining Fen'Harel's ranks. Or perhaps the Dalish are joined together for the annual Arleth Fen, which is where all the elven clans meet every 10 years to discuss their ongoing events and plans.
This shot most certainly resembles Navarra City as far as we're aware. Navarra City is sat right in the middle of Thedas. The nation is known for its art, wealth and trade. While we've only seen a few art pieces of Navarra in the world of Thedas, we know the nation resembles a lot of Middle Eastern cultures, taking influences from countries like Egypt, as Navarra is known to have great pyramids and ancient crypts. The mixture of browns and maroons across the color palette, while the bauble roofs and rigid architecture definitely place the city as something brand new. We know Tevinter has very angular and pointy structures that shows the aggression of the nation, whereas the designs here are very posh and expressive. I don't think we'd have many curved designs in Tevinter buildings, but that's just our opinion. Navarra City in particular is very close to the Grand Necropolis, which is the Mortalitassi's crypt. The Mortalitassi are Navarra's infamous death mages who take care of the dead. They were recently attacked by the Dread Wolf himself. Within the actual city, internal politics over Navarra's next heir to the throne arise throughout the land as two families clash over their claim. Being in the middle of Thedas, Navarra would most certainly be a unique location to explore.
We begin to see an actual in-engine shots that showcase more of Frostbite's next-gen capabilities. This game truly looks beautiful, even in early production stages. This looks like the outside shot of a snowy dwarven thaig. We know that Kalsharok is close to Tevinter and the Anderfels. As we know, it can snow on the equator, meaning that this could possibly be a shot on the surface of Kalsharok or any other ancient thaig towards southern Tevinter.
The next shot popped up in the EA Play tease, which we fully dissected in a separate video, but as a TLDR of our thoughts on this locale, while this shot could be in Tevinter, probably southern Tevinter, closer to the equator where it can snow, it could also be northern Ferelden, because we can see plenty of tidbits relating to Ferelden culture. For instance, we can see recognizable Ferelden totems and elven urns resembling their burial rites.
we have a shot of a new conceptual monster design. This creature looks like a dragon hybrid. Maybe a dragon mated with a phoenix, and this is the outcome?
I believe the next shot is another Tig or Calcia rock. We can see the winter bloom through the windows, proving that it connects to the previous dwarven snowy location. Of course, we can see dwarven iconography and banners that mark this place as civilized and dwarven territory. If this is Calcia rock, many inhabitants of dwarves will have lived here before Orzammar's creation. This Tig is ancient. However, their relations from Orzammar are very different, as Calcia rock have different paragons, kings, caste systems, and their language has an older manner of speech, less influenced by the surface, so they basically do not recognize any of Orzammar's influence in their Tig. Valta explains in a codex from the Descent DLC that the dwarven race split into two, explaining the differences between two capital Tigs who do not recognize each other as allies ever since the threat of the Blight. Calcia rock barely lets anyone in without high regard or connections in their own Tig. Therefore, if we are entering Calcia rock, it would be for a significantly important role or reason in Dragon Age 4. This shot is another continuation of the dwarven Tig or Calcia rock. It's outside in the snowy mountains, proving that it could be either locale. I have to say, the weather effects look amazing with the next generation of fidelity and quality on the Frostbite engine. Calcia rock is in the Hunterhorn Mountains, thus explaining why this Tig is so far up from the rest of the surface.
This shot looks like our recognizable companions dressed up as crows to seize the handheld carriage holding a rather large elite passenger who's probably some noble. We can see the female Kunari intimidating the servant in an attempt to take over the carriage, while the male dressed as a crow has taken over the frontal side of the carriage. Maybe they're taking this elite somewhere, hidden to question her alliances with the Kunari. We know from Jason Schreier's article that Project Joplin was about heists around major cities, so maybe Project Joplin's former idea wasn't canned after all. At least from the concepts, it seems heists in Dragon Age may remain.
The next shot is one of my favorite environmental art pieces in this trailer, even more than that, probably just in the universe of Dragon Age. This shot is most certainly showcasing the most beautiful yet eerie capital of Tevinter, Minrathous, home to the Magisterium. We know that this is Minrathous straight away because the city was built on an island of rock not far from the shore of Tevinter's land, exactly like this shot, with the waterfall and surrounding water that spreads across the borders of the city. Because of this design, the city has never faced an invasion, which probably means that people who live there won't care as much as the rest of the nation about the ongoing Kunari invasion. The city is accessed through only one magical drawbridge that can be pulled up at will, and the bridge is also defended by golems who fend off anyone who dare attempt to assault. So while the rest of Eastern Tevinter burns and gets re-educated to the Kun, the city of Minrathous will most certainly play a blind eye to it. While I'm sure some magisters oppose the threat, the debates in the Magisterium probably ensue, boasting one's ego than actually discussing political matters. What differentiates Tevinter's constructions from the other nations in Thedas is that they frequently incorporate magic into their structures, hence the drawbridge and the golems. Foundations of important buildings may be raised directly out of the earth by mages. You see, Tevinter has direct ties to the ancient elven world, which means it once belonged to the people of the Elven and has that power invested into its very soil. With the upcoming war, Solas and his elves will be retaking their land, while the magisters in the Magisterium may pay a blind eye to any invasion. Two mass onslaughts are coming for Tevinter, a quote peaceful Kunari invasion and the rebellion of an ancient elven god. Will Minrathous truly be safe? Perhaps Tevinter's hubris will be their downfall once more, history forever repeating itself.
Here we can see what looks like someone wearing Antivan Crow gear, perhaps one of our new party members pointing up at the Kunari Antam, pausing for a minute, asking for a breath from the fight so they can regain some stamina and continue. It's very humorous and shows the bold characteristics of this new character, with With the person dressed as an Antivan crow and the Canary Antam, I immediately think that this shot is showcasing the Canary invasion of Antiva, foreshadowing that this invasion will be brutal for Antiva and its people. The Qun is an implacable force that will not be denied.
Here is a shot that is clearly depicting a Tevinter marketplace, bustling with action. We can tell it's Tevinter because of the snake-like architecture, as the snake is the nation's flag. The marketplace is filled to the brim with life. We can see snakes being sold and eaten. Someone has caged a small ghast, and there's a bunch of wonderful magical anomalies, like the robot-controlled device as a man rides on it. Future mounts confirmed. We can see slaves at work, merchants selling unique magical items, and tiny little stick dudes transferring scrolls. And of course, the creepy magister-like figure is present again in this shot. What exactly is he doing in the middle of all this hustle? Is he watching over his slaves, taking a trip to eat some snakes? What gives with this bald-looking fellow? And what is in his mouth? Is he making snakes dance by playing an instrument? Is he smoking some elf fruit? Why is no one else in this shot scared of his presence? I certainly would be.
There's a lot to talk about with this shot, which is my favorite, as of which we're going to create a separate analysis video just on the characters. However, we have an epic shot of new characters, some companions, and some maybe not. We can't really tell given the time frame of development, and BioWare may and will make drastic changes to them. However, each look badass as the sun sets. From left to right, we have an ominous human female with red hair wearing a purplish dress. Perhaps she's a mage? Fans have speculated that she could be Francesca from the comics. However, the comic writers have dismissed that claim. A female Canary who looks sexy as hell and most certainly is a rogue, which we'll explain more in the next shot. Jack has been asking for a Canary wife for ages. Tamasaran Rasan was his hope and dreams. However, this wife here is so much better. He loves Canary wife. A human male could be a resemblance to a Warden, Anderfell, Lord of Fortune character. Could be a warrior class. They seem to be bald too. A tall robed male, human or elf, with not much distinction in the face, which alludes to the fact that they could be the main protagonist. A female with a freaking huge Glock wearing a massive cowl covering her figure. An Antivan crow robed figure, possibly male or female, or they could be a Tevinter Magister. They have a sword, so maybe a warrior or rogue. They could be Lucanus Delamorte or Vadis, an Altus Thief in Tevinter Knights. A tall Kossith or the tall elf called Strife from Tevinter Knights, who is a warrior. Last, an undead skeleton who most likely is bound with a spirit. They were seen in the underwater shot previously. Our undead friend most likely comes from the Navarra's Grand Necropolis, as they bind spirits to the undead. With them being an undead, they could be a previous character that has died in Dragon Age. Perhaps Felason? Of course, we have to give them nicknames too. For now, Jack is calling the female Canary either wife or Harley Quinn, and the Mortalitasi skeleton is called Spirit Boy for now, because they literally could be anyone back from the dead.
We have a following shot of 4 characters. We can see Harley Quinn holding 2 daggers, looking fine. Like, damn fine. Please, BioWare, let us protect wife and don't let her betray us for the Qun. Her armor is very Qun-like with the red body piece and armored legs. Could she be a part of the Qun? Maybe Ben Hasrith? Or is she Tal Vashoth, not associating herself with the Qun? Also, I am absolutely loving her blondish platinum hair, and her horns are amazing. I want to hold them like handles. Following Harley, we have a female human warrior with blonde hair ready for battle. She has a hood and a cape with silver armored pauldrons and legs. Her clothes have a teal color with shades of green and blue. Then we have an elf warrior with a huge sword ready to cleave someone's head right off. He's wearing a white Tevinter style coat with light armor covering his torso. The belt below expands to a bottom cape. He also has short hair and looks pretty badass. He could be the tall elf in the previous shot, but it's really hard to tell. And finally, we have a human rogue getting ready to stab your heart right out with his 2 daggers. He bears similarities to an Antivan crow as he has long black hair, nice stubble, and a smooth face. His outfit resembles somewhat of a suit with armor strapped onto it. Honestly, he looks rather dashing. While we can't confirm any of these to be actual companions because they're all concept pieces and we shouldn't get too attached, even though Harley Quinn has already captivated my heart, when it does come around to actually confirming the companions, we may not have as many returning characters as one would like, because of course the Inquisition declared it would look for new people to deal with Solas, as Solas can exploit all the weaknesses of someone who he already knows. So prepare to fall in love with new characters. We're going to the north anyways. Let's leave Oghren in the south, guys.
The next shot is a Grey Warden rescuing a woman who bears a child in her arms from a flaming dragon. Of course, it wouldn't be Dragon Age without any dragons. I'm wondering if this is just a simple dragon. However, the Grey Warden makes me think Blight and therefore Archdemon, but there's no indicator towards identifying this dragon. Although that's a stretch, we can certainly assume more dragon conflict in the next game. Whether or not that refers to a Blight, we're unsure.
The next shot looks like concept art for a potential companion in Dragon Age 4. She could be the woman who was on the far left wearing the dress with red hair, or she could be someone brand new. Either way, there's a lot of attention to detail with her in particular. She most certainly looks like an Antivan crow. The dark armor, the raven-like mask. She even has a couple of crows surrounding her, showcasing the theme of this art piece, which seems to be death. She has her sword ready as if she's about to attack someone. Perhaps she's ambushed her target to an alleyway given the surrounding environment. For all we know, she could be a character masquerading as a crow hidden behind a mask. The dark tones in the artwork present her as somewhat antagonistic though, so she could pose as a threat against us, perhaps an enemy crow with a contract to fulfill. We know that the Antivan crows are not just assassins, but a guild of also thieves and spies. What better guild to be in when hunting the Dread Wolf and the Qunari threat?
Subjectively, the best shot in the entire trailer. We can see our sexy big bad wolf Solus, Fen-Harel, coming in full force with a wolf to his side. His armor has a completely new design from his previous wardrobe. He has somewhat of a Dorian-style cape that's wrapped around his chest, and his armor beneath the cape looks like heavy armor, similar to Fenris's gear. He has a badge on his armor too. We discovered in Tevinter Nights that agents of Fen-Harel wear a badge to identify that they work on behalf of the wolf. Perhaps this is the same badge that Solus now wears too. The glowing eyes and hands may just show how powerful Solus is. Since Tevinter Nights events, however, he almost looks lyrium infused here. In Kolg's journal from the Descent DLC, the dwarf describes the same depiction of what Solus looks like in the shot when overdosing lyrium. Solus has a wolf next to him in his shot. Of course, he is the Dreadwolf himself. Does he have wolves as scouts now? Is that someone else shapeshifting? Or is it merely concept art to show off either being Solus, a redeemable elf, or the Dreadwolf, a formidable and evil creature? The icy background behind him looks unrecognizable. This location looks freezing, painting this picture that Solus is like a storm. This artwork looks very much like a Norse god depiction. And last but not least, Solus is still wearing his stupid wolf jawbone.
An amazing surprise is seeing actual in-engine footage of Solas and his facial animations. We can see just how beautiful his bald head looks in next-gen scenes. The attention to detail is amazing. His pearly white teeth, his facial structure, and animations all look superb. He looks slightly older and more tired too, which makes sense given his last description of him in Tevinter Nights. Gareth David Lloyd, of course, the voice actor of Solas, delivered the line of dialogue,
They call me the Dread Wolf. What will they call you when this is over?
"Oh, sweet maker, that just gives me goosebumps." Clearly, he's opposing our new protagonist, and he's taken the mantle of the Dread Wolf, which we know is a name given to him by his enemies. I imagine he is in his Dread Wolf form when saying this, and honestly, just hearing this line of dialogue makes us scream for what is to come. I am so ready to fight or attempt to redeem Solas.
It was confirmed that BioWare are using full motion capture for Dragon Age 4, so they can create the best, most realistic animations possible. Also, can we just point out that legit this person in a full motion capture suit looks exactly like Jack? What are you not telling us, Jack? What is going on here?
Even more to our surprise, we actually see gameplay prototyping, and even though it's just a concept, the camera placement looks amazing. I love the zoomed in approach. We can see a warrior wielding a sword and shield as they evade a spell of a barricade of spikes that pop up from the ground. And then we see a player dressed in Grey Warden armor. The fencing style to sword combat looks incredible. The way they hold the shield while posing the sword forward looks so realistic. It looks as if the Warden has just used the champion ability called Line in the Sand that holds your position, stopping enemies from moving past you, enabling you to block choke points. The Grey Warden armor looks super detailed and just amazing to wear.
In the next shots, we have a voice actor reveal. We've known for around a year now that voice work has been going on behind the scenes. Ji Young Han is playing a character called Balara, considering she has an American voice and says,
No, it's okay. That's the good kind of rumble.
She's most likely playing as a female dwarf. While we haven't seen her in the concept art, that doesn't exclude her as a companion. The line of dialogue sounds like it has to do something with Titan hunting. As we know, Titans shape Thetis with their earthquakes and trembles. Calling it a good rumble, maybe there's a good Titan we're after. It's actually amazing to see voice cast already being revealed for Dragon Age 4, with a confirmed name for a mysterious character too.
The next shot looks like a monstrous beast from the waters of northern Thedas, like the creatures we witnessed in Tevinter Nights and the new map of Thedas that came with the book. It seems like these beasts are the creations of Gillinan, the elven goddess, as she didn't destroy them all because pride stopped her hand. Gillinan's creations seemingly will pose as a huge threat, as we can see they're rising from the waters to wreak havoc on the people of Thedas.
This shot shows what we're calling a Red Lyrium Darkspawn Reaper, most likely in the same location as the tree with the midnight snow where Red Lyrium had affected everything living in the area, explaining how this Darkspawn has Red Lyrium infected into their body. Red Lyrium is rapidly infecting everything in its path, but I'd sooner deal with Red Lyrium than fight this Reaper. Ew! BioWare, I personally thought we were done with spiders, but I guess not. This shot shows some prototype of the spider doing animations, but if you look closely, this spider has hands! Melissa Janowitz is the creature designer for the next Dragon Age and has been working closely with the concept art and their transfer to animation. And already, Melissa is making some crazy monsters that could potentially interact with items around the environment, like the barrel. I really hope that barrel isn't going to be used against us in combat.
We see more gameplay scenes, again with a sword and shield warrior. This time they deflect an array of spells using their shield, which is certainly going to make playing as a warrior more advantageous, blocking spells and evading attacks. The next shot reveals another voice actor reveal. Ike Amity is playing Davrin. He shouts,
"Nobody dies on my watch. For the Wardens!"
We can easily assume Davrin is a Grey Warden, potentially a new companion or just a new character introduced into the world. Considering Tevinter Nights' cover has new characters that seemingly didn't appear in the book, could Davrin be the Grey Warden on the cover? We think so.
In this shot, we can see Red Lyrium tendrils moving along with this gross sack, showing off how Red Lyrium is further becoming more chaotic. It's moving now. The next shot looks to be from the same location from the EA Play tease in June. We got deep infested Red Lyrium mushrooms and a snowy atmosphere all around. The growth of the Red Lyrium looks to be infecting all plant life in this region. It's rotting the formation of the cave around it. Red Lyrium is proving to be even more dangerous this time around.
And yet, we have another gameplay shot of the player in the Warden armor exploring a red lyrium infested cave. Using their shield, the Warden enters their blocking stance as they prepare to attack a most gruesome little gooey creature coming from the red lyrium as it slimes forward towards the player. Absolutely rancid, but I love seeing so many disgusting creatures.
This snowy mountain shot again reminds us of Kalsharok or Dwarven Tide region, connecting to those shots into this rocky area. In this shot, we see a mountainous creature with a happy face and two hands on each side. It kind of reminds me of the Grand Oak from Dragon Age Origins. With its lyrium glowing eyes and smile, and face as big as a mountain, is this the same depiction of a titan like Cole described? We know that Valta described that the tremors of the breach awoke the titan. So since there is an awoken titan, are we going to connect to this being? Will they be like what they once were pre-Veil, or will they be tranquil like in the texts from the Virdathara and Cole's statement? This titan might seem smaller compared to the size of being inside one like in the Descent DLC, but we know titans can constantly change the shape of the land to their image. However, it could also be a spirit who possessed this mountain range. Surely if a spirit can possess animals and trees, they could also do the same to mountains and rocks too. Despite the curiosities of what this is, the surrounding atmosphere is similar to the broody tree shots.
The next shot scenery once more resembles the broody tree's location, with the midnight snow and a haunting forest. We can see an Andraste statue, again resembling Ferelden to some degree, considering Tevinter have a different take on Andraste and the Chantry. There's a red lyrium blob glowing right below the statue, and I don't know if it's just me, but we can also see something else glowing with red lyrium, like a massive red lyrium scorpion tail moving. I hope it's just me and like it's a tainted bush, because seeing something like a red lyrium scorpion would be truly terrifying. Like I wouldn't even go near that statue.
The next shot continues with the Dwarven Tide from before. We can see this place being lit with fire. Again, it looks pretty hospitable for the dwarves. It's clean, no blood, infection, or death, so this is probably a dwarven kingdom like we mentioned before, Kalsharok. I think it's notable to say that Kalsharok's history with the elves is very hostile ever since the fall of Arlathon. In the codices from Witch Hunt, the Shape Rate revealed tomes that could show the very location of Arlathon, but instead located a safe place that the ancient elves fled to after the Veil's creation. The ancient elves fled to Cad Halash Taig due to the threat of the now powerful Tevinter Imperium. The old belief was that the Imperium uncovered their safe place and chained them up in Minrathous, but that was not the case. It was actually Kalsharok, who learned that they were sheltering elves, and knowing it would jeopardize their alliance with the Tevinter Imperium, they took steps to cover it up, thus giving the ancient elves a way into the Imperium and making them into slaves. So if we are going to ally with the Tide, Kalsharok would be our best alliance against Solus, since they had a bloody history dealing with the ancient Elven.
And yet another gameplay scene shows the player using a Grey Warden shield as they test the ability Shield Bash, and damn, does it look so satisfying to use. We can see the ripple effects of its attack. I can only imagine the incoming fallout for our opposing foes.
Sticking to the theme of the Grey Wardens, we have a concept shot of inside Fortress Weishaupt. We can see the Grey Warden griffin flags hanging above, with the Grey Warden sanctioned at a stone table, looking across at a green splash of colors. That looks like a rift in the Fade. There is another person with a sword, as if attacking something or someone. It certainly seems like we're not finished with rifts. Perhaps Solus's ritual has something to do with causing more rifts throughout all of Thedas. However, with the Inquisitor not in the field, maybe we'll be completely powerless against these rifts. Or has the veil been completely torn down? I don't think so just yet.
In the next shot, we see undead, who most likely reside in the Grand Necropolis, a big crypt in Navarra City, which houses important Navarran nobles undead. The Mortalitasi are mages who willingly fulfill the tasks of maintaining the halls of the dead, binding spirits to corpses as they preserve their fallen people. As the Mortalitasi run the crypts, they have undead skeleton servants who do their bidding. Only the weaker undead who don't have their own will are servants. The undead skeletons in this shot are harvesting a dragon corpse, whose eye has been held to a pike. As the top skeleton pulls the dragon's flesh, the other two undead are seemingly transferring the dragon's flesh onto a plate. Imagine walking in on this site as a stranger. It's a very bold art piece and we love the style of it all. The skeleton on the top certainly looks like the undead seen in the character roster and swimming underwater. We're very intrigued to see what mysteries and identity this skeleton has. Perhaps they have their own will and are not a servant, but instead a bound spirit, and the other two undeads are the servants to them.
This shot showcases pure chaos. We can see a sea creature that I would identify as a cetus. Cetuses are longer than most sailing ships and are known to coil around both people and boats. The largest of cetuses dwell on the ocean floor. The tales say that they are attracted to the surface during lightning storms. The cetus here is shown to be surrounded by a lightning storm by the edge of water, opposing those figures of a Canary male with a long stave, a mage, a smaller figure with purple magic, and a figure with a long sword raising towards the cetus, with their back depicting wings to take flight. We are seeing a lot of sea creatures that Gillenon never destroyed when she ascended to godhood, and now they are showing up in the next Dragon Age to wreak havoc upon Thetis. For this particular cetus, it depicts its torso to be of a cockroach, with its sticky legs and glowing eyes. It's just like the combined animal creature from Tevinter Knight's Horror of Hormark, where the Hurlock had the tail of a scorpion and other darkspawn just like it.
And the final shot in this trailer showcases a Lord of Fortune, which is a new faction introduced in Tevinter Knights. They are basically Riverni treasure hunters seeking wealth and opportunity wherever they can find it. There's a huge blown up ship as this buff man moves on, having looted and raided the ship, from what we can assume. His design is amazing and unique, and what is exactly described in Tevinter Knights look in the gardens. They wear gold jewelry, colourful sashes, belts, pants, and dangling charms. We know that Lords of Fortune tend to be in a neutral political stance in Thetis. Their own goal is to seek artifacts and lost items around the lands. Perhaps the perfect role for our next protagonist. Maybe as a hint for it being the last shot, or am I just too excited and taking things too literally? In the interest of saving time, here are each of the most relevant developer insights that were said throughout this trailer. We'll be sure to talk about the substance of each of them in my next news update video.
I feel so spoiled that they spent the time to show us so many shots in their early production project of Dragon Age, and I can say that us feral clowns can finally take off our clown makeup and actually be excited for the next Dragon Age.
Honestly, seeing these concepts in early production stages has been a saving grace in 2020. While at its very hyperbolic, BioWare did not need to show us anything at all this year, and at the current stage they're in, which is around 15 months of production time. However, they did, and this trailer was made for the hardcore fans. Not that I'm throwing shade, but it wasn't made for the casual gamers who will play Dragon Age 4 once and then complain about not understanding the lore, but this was made for the fans who deeply care for everything in Thetis, like advancements in the lore, new locations, characters, setting, factions, etc. This trailer was made for you and me, and I am so glad we have this as our first proper reveal of the next Dragon Age game. Also, it was so nice to see a few of the developers that we love and support as they make us feel a part of this community. After all, the story about Dragon Age 4's development is all about the people creating it, and I am so glad that BioWare have an amazing, tremendously talented bunch of people who know what Dragon Age is.
I think it's tremendous to see new locations, characters, and just plain content to delve into that makes the wait so much shorter. A lot of lore that I see in these shots just gets me so excited for this game and how they're really working on making the newest and best Dragon Age for the upcoming years.
Although these are just moods, concepts, prototypes, and early production work, I'm very, very, very excited for the future of the next Dragon Age. The sense of scope, choices and consequences, reactivity, new areas, new characters, romances, etc. I am very eager and honestly just super pumped to be in the community right now. We've got plenty more videos to bring you all. We're not done talking about this trailer at all. So Saria, we should probably get back to work.
But until the next one,
we
we
should
should
go
and
get back into writing.